Hey, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Blackmagic Design UltraStudio Mini Recorder, which is a video capture device with an HDMI or SDI input for getting footage onto your PC or Mac equipped with Thunderbolt. Okay, I got this device for live streaming or for using my Nikons or GoPros as high quality webcams, and they work. It works, okay, as expected with the lower end Nikon and the GoPro, no problem at all bringing the image into the Blackmagic software. Or OBS, for example, okay? But it does not work natively with the higher end professional camera. So this video, after I reached out to Blackmagic, the folks over there, they said, make a video, show us what works, what doesn't work, and we'll try and help you out. Okay, so I'm basically going to show you what works, what doesn't work with the various Nikon cameras and a GoPro Hero 4, okay? But I do have a workaround, okay, using the higher end Nikons, passing the signal through an Atomos, okay, Ninja V. So I do have a workaround, but it'd be nice if I could plug in the Nikon D850 or Z6 especially directly into this and get the signal into the Blackmagic software. It's not working for me at all. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get to it. Here's a quick look at the device itself. It has two inputs, SDI or HDMI, that you cannot use both at the same time. You have to choose one in the settings in the software. Thunderbolt 2 interface. Here's a quick summary of the specs. I'll put a link in the description below, up to 1080 capture. Okay, so before we get started with the demos, just a quick tour to show you what Mac I'm using. Not a tour, but just let you know that I'm on a MacBook Pro Retina. It's a 15-inch model from 2015. I've been using it for about new a couple years ago. It's been really stable. I haven't upgraded to 1015 yet. But it's been very stable. The reason I got this machine is because it's got all the ports on it. I didn't want dongles coming out of the Mac everywhere. And it's been really stable. i7 machine on 10.14. And I say that because if I go to the Blackmagic site, we'll see that if I zip down here a little bit through the specs at the bottom, you'll see that is indeed supported by 1014 Mojave. And 15, which eventually I'll see about updating, but not for today. And while we're on this page, I just want to mention that it's not a 4K device, just so you know. I'm using it, and I intend to use it mostly for 1080 at 25 here in Europe, or 30, which is plenty enough for live streaming or webcam use for sure. So if you need a 4K solution, you need to look at a different product, either from Blackmagic or someone else. And the last thing I want to mention is that I'm using the latest desktop video 11.5. The Mac version is what I downloaded and installed. It was a clean install. It's the first time I've used one of their products. And if you need to do the same as me, if you want to look for the same software, just search by model here for the UltraStudio Mini Recorder, and this will pop up for latest downloads, and just grab the one that you need. Okay, so now let's get into the demos. Now there are two inputs on the device. There's SDI and HDMI. I'm going to be using HDMI. And so once you install the Blackmagic software, and then you go to desktop video, the utility, and choose the right input. You have to do this once. So I'm using HDMI, which is what I'm choosing here. The other options you don't really have to worry about. So video input, I'm choosing HDMI. Then we close that, and we're good to go for all the demos. Okay, so on with the demos. First of all, here is the mini recorder. As I pointed out, we've got HDMI on one side, SDI as well. Those are the inputs. And on the other side, we have just the Thunderbolt 2 with a white LED that will come on when the device is powered up through the Thunderbolt port. Okay, so here's the setup here. I will plug in a Thunderbolt cable. Okay, and this will be going into, sorry, I've got two hands here. I got to do this with a GoPro, and there we go. So now we're good to go, and you can see that the device gets powered up, no problem. And our first demo is going to be here quickly with the GoPro Hero 4. The reason I chose the 4 is because it's got a built-in HDMI port for micro HDMI. Let me just plug this guy in here, get him in. Okay, with this cable that goes to full HDMI into the Blackmagic device. Let me spin this around. Here we go. turn on the device, which is on. Okay, and now what we're going to do is go into the Blackmagic software on my computer. Let me just see if I can bring this up. Which is called the Blackmagic Media Express app. As I mentioned earlier, it's installed with the software that I mentioned earlier from the Blackmagic website. And as you can see, it works immediately. And down in the corner, so this works as expected, Untitled project, and it's coming at 1080 25p. And if I double click on this, I'll get the preferences. And hopefully you can read this, but yeah, 1080 25p, so it works as expected, captures the signal with no issues whatsoever. And just to show you that it's actually capturing video, I'll move this around a little bit. Okay, so I'll put down my GoPro here now. Let's move on to a Nikon consumer camera, which is a D3400. It's actually my daughter's, but I'm borrowing it for this video. Okay, so I shall turn off the GoPro. Okay, and unplug from the Blackmagic device. Okay, there goes the image. And I shall now use, all the Nikons for HDMI connection will use, you can see this, the, not micro, but mini HDMI. Okay, and I shall plug this guy in here. Wrong side, sorry about that. Okay, get him in, turn it on. Okay, spin this around so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, again, regular HDMI going into the Blackmagic device. And immediately the Blackmagic software picks up the back LCD display of the Nikon. But if you look here in the corner of the Blackmagic software, it's picking up a signal at 29.97. So it's not, it works, it's fine. Okay, it's not an interlaced signal. Okay, and we're getting as expected. Let me get rid of that dialog, and you'll see that it's picking up clean video 1080p from the D3400. Okay, so those two devices work perfectly as expected. And I'll just pause this now and I'll go set up the Z6, which is the professional camera that I use mostly for video. Okay, just again. So now I've got the Nikon Z6 and I'm just going to go through some of the settings quickly just to show you what I'm trying to capture. First of all, we want to make sure in the movie shooting menu that we have the frame rate set to 30p, okay, 1920 and 1080. And also in the HDMI out, which is under the setting menu, the setup menu. Okay, just you have to scroll down, there are quite a few settings here, and you have to get to HDMI. Output resolution, you want to make sure that's on P. Okay, this should match, basically. I know this is not going to work, okay, but they should match in theory, okay. And you'll see now that if I go into advanced, I want to make sure that the output data is at 8-bit, doing a simple test. I don't need RAW, of course, and that the rest should be auto, should be fine. And now, let me put down my GoPro and I shall plug in the HDMI into the Nikon Z6. And you'll see here in the Blackmagic software, as opposed to, contrary to the GoPro and the D3400, we don't get any signal. And I've gone through every possible option here. It doesn't recognize the signal at all. And I've gone through every capture file format, every resolution possible, 2997, and you see no image comes through at all. Okay, I've tried all these. Okay, so I'll save you the pain of going through each one individually. And so no signal. Okay, natively from the Z6. Okay, now I do have a workaround for this, but it should work this way. As you saw with the other two, with the GoPro and the 3400, it's immediately, the HDMI signal is recognized immediately, and it pops up into the Media Express application for capture. Okay, and I should mention that once it's in the Media Express, then other software like OBS, for example, can pick up the signal and capture as well. So basically the signal from the Z6 is not being recognized by the capture software. Okay, so now I'm back and I'm going to just try again with the D850. It's another camera I use, a little bit less for video, but still it's one of the more recent flagship models from Nikon, and it touts its video capabilities as being professional. And of course it can output 4K clean normally through the HDMI. And let me just plug this in now. Okay, again, if I just bring up live view now on the D850, okay, you'll see that the image is there. Now I've gone through the trouble, so you didn't have to watch this, of setting up the frame rate, which is 30, and I'll just show you what I've done here. This is for the Blackmagic people if they watch this. Okay, the HDMI settings, the output, it's on 1080p, okay? And if I go into the movie settings, I got to make sure that the frame rate also matches that. Photo setting, sorry about that, movie. Down here, frame rate, 30p, matches. And just to be sure, if I go into HDMI and go into advanced, okay, these are the settings that I'm using. Auto, output size of the play 100%, live view, on-screen display off, okay? And again, okay, I am not getting any signal. It's now into the Blackmagic, going to the Mac, and if I bring the GoPro around, you'll see that there is no image being captured in the software. Okay, and again, I will go through a couple of these settings. If I try to set it to 1080 p on 30 frames a second, it will not capture the image. Okay, if I double that, I'll try a few of these settings, and you'll see that you do have the match. This is the thing. Now, if you match it correctly with the signals coming through, for example, the GoPro, it has to match what's being output by the device. But again, I've tried all of these and it's not working at all. Okay, so that's two Nikon Professional cameras for which the signal is not being picked up by the Blackmagic device. I do also have a Nikon D4, which is an older flagship model, and I've also tried it, and it's the same result. So I'm not going to demo the third camera, but I will now show you a workaround using a pass-through device, the Atomos Ninja V, which I have, and it has as an input and output, and if I pass the signal from the Nikon through the Atomos to the Blackmagic device, then it will work, and I'll demo that right now. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'll show you the workaround that I have using this is a Ninja V recorder monitor. Okay, and it has an input, okay, coming from the Nikon, okay, from the same cable that I just used, going directly to the Blackmagic, okay. It's a mini to full HDMI cable. And now I've just got a standard, okay, HDMI 2 cable going out from the Ninja, and it's going to go into, it's not plugged in yet, there's nothing here on the screen yet either, okay, in the Blackmagic software, okay, so it doesn't have the signal yet. I'm going to turn on the Nikon, okay, I haven't changed the settings, so okay, you'll see that immediately the Atomos picks it up. It's out of focus, but that doesn't really matter now, does it? And if I go in just quickly into the frame rates, you'll see here that we're still on 30. You can actually see it a bit better maybe on the Atomos. We're at 30 frames a second in the movie shooting menu. Hopefully that'll be picked up. I get a bit of glare there. Let me turn sideways there. And if I go into HDMI, into the setup menu, that's a lot of clicking. Okay, you'll see that the only way I can get this to work, okay, is an interlaced, okay? So if I put it on P, okay, you'll see. The Atomos still picks it up on P or I, whatever. It'll pick up whatever you put into it, okay? And now on 1080p, okay, down my GoPro, I am going to plug in the output signal from the Atomos into the UltraStudio Mini Recorder, and we're not getting anything here. Now it's complaining about a format. You see how it's in red down here? A format incompatibility. And if I put this on 30, okay, I still get nothing coming into the Blackmagic. So it recognizes there's something coming in, but it can't It can't show the output. Okay, and now quickly we'll just go through the chain, the signal chain coming from the Nikon Z6 into, okay, it's a 1080 interlace signal, okay, at 30p coming out of the Nikon, okay, and this is being, let me just get rid of this, okay, this is being picked up by the Atomos as a 59.94 fps interlace signal, output as the same thing. This is really hard to read, I know it's small, okay. It's not being output yet because it's not plugged into the Blackmagic, okay, which I will do right now, okay. And I don't know if you saw that, you probably didn't, but as soon as I plug it in and the project is set in Blackmagic as a 59.94 interlaced signal, and that picks up the signal from the Nikon through the Atomos. Okay, and you'll see that this is live if I move it around, move the camera around. Okay, so that's my workaround. Okay, and that's the only frame rate and setting for which I can get a signal into the software from the Nikon, from the Z6, D850 and the D4. D3400 works perfectly without the Atomos. No need to go through, use it as a relay, as a pass-through. Okay, so that works. Okay, it's a workaround, so I know I can use the Z6 D50, my two primary cameras, for capturing through the Blackmagic device. Okay, but not everybody has a pass-through device, and it would be nice if it worked as intended, as it does with the D3400 and other cameras, I'm sure, but they're the only ones I can test. So just so you can see it more clearly, I'm just doing a screen grab here of a screencast of the Media Express window. I've got the Z6 1080i, okay, 1080i 30p, 30 frames a second signal going through the Atomos, being picked up as a 60 or 59.94 signal, passing it through to the Blackmagic, and it's picking it up. And as you can see, if I move this window and I move my camera, you'll see that there's actually video. So it's a live feed coming in as expected now. But what's strange is it's picking it up as an interlace signal at almost 60 frames a second. Okay, but I can capture. Okay, so if I start capturing, it will pick up that signal and capture the video. There it is. I also just wanted to point out that I'm really simplifying what I've kind of discovered going through all these settings, but this is the only setting for which I can get a signal out of these two Nikons, the Z6 and the D850 and also the D4, is to use this interlace pass-through through the Atomos. Okay, I've tried all these settings, okay, in the Nikon and in the software, and it doesn't work, but passing it through the Atomos does, and this setting does work, the 1080i 59.94. okay, and with this I can capture as expected. Okay, clean signal. If I stop capturing and I go to this new capture here, to this file, I just want to open this in QuickTime quickly and play it back, and I get an info on it. Okay, you'll see here, okay, that it is not a 60 frames per second file. It's 29.97. So that's the format that is finally captured on your hard drive. So here's a summary chart quickly for the different options that we just went through for the convenience, hopefully, of the Blackmagic folks if they watch this video. Thanks for watching. Okay, if you like this video or if you find it useful, please give it a thumbs up. Okay, if you hated it, by all means, give it a thumbs down. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have any experience using any of the equipment I talked about in the video, okay, I'd love to hear about it. Put them in the comments below. And that's about it. Okay, please subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.